guess we can watch it. I don't really do politic video usually, but you know, why not? If you guys want me to watch it, I'll watch it. Nobody is safe. Danish MP chilling warning against Trump Greenland threat. Yeah, I mean, it seemed kind of like, you know, stupid and a meme, I would say, for a while, but after like what they've done with Venezuela, right, it kind of feels like, you know, less of a meme now. I mean, I still want to think that, you know, they wouldn't do it, but I don't know. It's like at this point, right, you can't really believe that, you know, when you say something like that, you can't really believe it anymore, right? It feels like anything is possible with the US right now. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mess. Let's watch it by the mirror.
If the Americans invade Greenland, we will be at war, and it would be a completely absurd and disastrous and unnecessary situation.
Why do they even want Greenland? I don't really know the context. Like, is there much of interest? Is there like natural resource or anything? And what's the population? That's my question. Sorry for pausing already. Greenland population. Yeah, 50k people. I mean, it's tiny, right?
That will be the biggest self-inflicted damage that any country has ever done to itself. And it was unthinkable even 12 months ago. We would have never thought we'd be in a situation where we are threatened with military invasion.
So long gone, yeah.
And I still don't think that's the most likely scenario. I don't think that's going to happen because it's too crazy. And there's no upside to it at all. What I think will happen, though, is that I think the Americans...
I mean, we keep saying that, but again, look at all the crazy stuff Trump has been doing, right? You could say that, like what you just said, you could say that about like 20 things that he's done. I mean, it seems utterly crazy.
Will continue to use other means to try to annex Greenland. They will try to give the Greenlanders an economic offer, and in that way try to get the territory away from Denmark.
So by it?
That is also unacceptable. It's a very serious situation for Denmark and for Greenland.
Wait, so Denmark own Greenland? Greenland isn't like a self country?
Of course, some Americans seem to take this very lightly, but we certainly don't. This is a very serious threat to both Denmark and Greenland. Denmark was only in Afghanistan for one reason, and that was to help the Americans. We don't have any interests in Afghanistan, but we were there because we're allies with the Americans, because we were angry about what happened to them on 9/11 and the many Americans that were killed in New York. We would always stand up for the Americans, but we would also expect that they don't attack us and try to annex.
I mean, it's not how it works, right? There's a lot of friendship like that where you help someone a lot, and then when it's time for them to help you, you know, they don't care anymore. There's a lot of people like that. So I guess it's the same with countries.
Our territory and act like enemies, like they're doing at the moment. Regardless of whether they're planning a military attack or whether they're just using every other available mean to try to take Greenland, it's a very hostile act. And it's not something that should happen between allies, and it's not something that an alliance can survive, because we're obviously not going to be able to be allies if we start going after each other's territory. And the Americans have to understand how serious a situation that is and how long-lasting consequences it will have for the relationship, certainly between our two countries, but I imagine also with other allies, because who's going to want to be allied to a country that does everything in their power to take territory away from them?
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but you know, like, it's not the first time, right? Like, the beginning of World War II, both Nazi Germany and the USSR basically took Poland. Like, both of them wanted some of Poland, right? And then obviously, eventually, like, you know, the USSR was part of destroying Germany and all that, but it's like, you know, I mean, like, that was kind of forgiven. Then everybody was friendly with the USSR for a while. Well, not for a while, I mean, once it collapsed, you know, people were kind of like, the relation between countries and Russia was kind of good, and then they're doing it again, right? And now the relationship is bad again, until eventually when like the current conflict is over, maybe eventually things will be friendly again. Until next time, I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of a loop like that.
We're not just going to give that up. We're not just going to hand 57,000 Danish citizens over to the Americans against their will. They've made it very, very clear that they do not want to become part of the United States. Many of them have a vision of becoming independent one day. It's not something that's going to happen anytime real
I didn't even know Greenland wasn't like an independent nation.
soon, because they have not started the process and they have not requested independence. If they did, we would not stand in the way of it, but they've not asked to become independent. So they are part of Denmark because they've chosen to be a part of Denmark. And the Americans have approved it in the United Nations, in numerous treaties throughout the centuries. So we would expect the Americans to honor their word in the many treaties that they've made with us over the centuries. And we would also expect them to stop this nonsense about taking territory from...
I mean, you know, again, I haven't followed too deep any of this, but listening to this guy, it's like everything he's saying makes too much sense, which makes no sense because like this guy is talking like logically, but Trump and the whole US administration is like constantly talking super illogically and doing super illogical actions. So I don't know, like anytime I see anything like this, I mean, like you're talking way too logically, it's clearly not getting into this guy's head. I mean, you know, it feels kind of useless.
From people that don't want to hand it over,
Appealing to reason feels kind of useless.
No means no, and it's really difficult to deal with people that don't respect that. We are completely united. You're not going to find anyone here in the parliament in Denmark out of the 179 members, including the 2 from Greenland. Nobody is going to hand over Greenland. It's absolutely not going to happen.
I mean, nobody handed over the freaking president of Venezuela, but they just took him and found it to be have read. Like, this is insane, right? Like, even though the guy is terrible, a piece of shit and should have been taken down, the fact that like a country can just like decide like this alone without all the other countries that, you know, like this is okay to do, like just go into someone else's country, take their president and you're gonna try him and all that, you know, it's kind of like so much beyond what has ever been done, right? And obviously, you know, again, for example, like 20 years ago there was like Iraq and all that, you know, and Hussein and all that, but it was like a massive amount of country who agreed that this needs to be done. It's very different from one country just decided to do it on their own, right? Taking down some bad guy. So if they're willing to do this, I mean, where's the limit?
We can negotiate about a lot of other things, more military bases, resource extraction. The problem we have is that the Americans actually faces...
Also, they have mineral, oil and gas, and rare earths. That's the resource.
Resource extraction. The problem we have is that the Americans actually already have these rights. They already have full military access to Greenland through the defense agreement that we have with them. And they can also easily invest in mining if that's what they want. So the problem is they already have everything they could possibly want in Greenland. So it's difficult for us to improve a defense treaty that already gives them exclusive and full access to Greenland. How can that be improved? Because they already have what they say they want. But we can't give them...
Oh, no, I'm guessing they won't, like with this treaty, it's probably they don't get all the money. But if they have the full country, they literally like get all the money from all this mining.
The name USA on a map. And if they insist on getting that, then we're not going to be able to compromise on that. It's something we simply cannot do, and we will not do it. So it's up to the Americans how much of a confrontation they want to make out of that. And we hope that moderate voices...
But at the same time, he's saying that, you know, I understand why he's saying strong word, but like, would this country and any other European country actually go to war over Greenland? I mean, most of us didn't go to war over Ukraine, and that's literally like next door, and that's actually a massive country. So like, I don't know. I understand why he's using strong word, but I don't know.
In Congress and in the public in the USA will see that it is completely unnecessary to start a war with Denmark over something that really has no upside at all. consequences could be
seafood.
very, very bad for the Western alliance, for the Western world, and the upside is not there. Because everything they want in Greenland, they already have access to. So all they had to do was give us a phone call, and they could have gotten more military bases or whatever it is that they think they could use Greenland for. We think we have really done our part as a country and been very loyal allies to the Americans.
That's the biggest
We
time.
took, together with the British, some very, very tough fighting in Afghanistan for only one reason: to help the Americans. We are spending 3% of GDP on defense in 2025. We are the leading contributor to Ukraine. There's no other country at all that has given as much money to Ukraine per capita as Denmark. So we are doing what we should.
It was the US. Okay.
If the Americans start using the logic that because a country cannot defend itself, then they have a right to take that territory, a lot of countries are going to be in trouble. Because Ireland can't defend itself. Even the UK can probably not defend itself if it was a war alone against Russia or China. So does that give the rights to the Americans to then invade the UK or Ireland or Portugal or any other country that's smaller than themselves using that logic? That's going to be a very difficult situation. We're not supposed to be able to defend Greenland alone. We do it collectively in NATO. But I also have to say that the picture the Americans are painting that China and Russia are threatening Greenland is simply not true. There is no Chinese, there's no Russian activity in Greenland. They don't have a consulate, they don't have any mining, they own nothing up there, and they don't have an intention of taking over.
Yeah, that sounds
it works actually quite well that Denmark has Greenland because we're big enough to sustain the Greenlanders with what they need and help them develop the country in the direction that they want. But we're also small enough to keep it as a low tension area because we're not threatening anyone. So it has worked really, really, really well, and everybody has been pleased with the arrangement and has kept the high north as a low tension area. And
you know what this also makes me think, I mean, kind of a random thought, but you know, like, I feel like eventually we're going to find some ultra valuable kind of resource if we keep digging around, you know, Antarctica and the North Pole and all that. I mean, maybe I'm stupid and there's already something, and you know, for the most part, I think Antarctica is considered like, you know, no one's property, even though there's zone for like different base for like different scientific research of different countries. But eventually, I wouldn't be surprised if people start fighting over Antarctica because there's something actually really good to mine there or some shit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, maybe eventually.
That's what the Greenlanders want. It's also what we want, and we think it's a very bad idea to go in and try to change this by force, as the Americans are trying. I think it's very obvious that the next step from the Americans will be to try to strengthen the independence movement in Greenland and also try to paint a picture of Denmark as an inadequate and bad partner for the Greenlanders, to try to make us more unpopular, to get Denmark out so they can take control of Greenland. That's going to be the strategy. They have opened a very large consulate in Greenland's capital, Nuuk, and it's a strange situation to have people, a lot of Americans in Nuuk working when we know that their task is to undermine the Kingdom of Denmark and especially undermine our relationship between Greenland and Denmark. So of course we're wondering how to tackle that and how to deal with it, whether to kick them out, but we do everything together with the Greenlanders, and both Greenland and Denmark are hoping that we can have good relations with the Americans, but it is becoming increasingly difficult, and it's very frustrating both to us and to the Greenlanders, because it's so unreasonable, so unjustified.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more depressing this day than checking out the news, and you could say so it's been like that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just simply because I do take a bit more of a look now than I did when I was younger, right? But man, is it all depressing.
Be the most unjustified land claim in modern history. I can't think of anything else that's so unjustified. There isn't a shadow of an excuse for it. There's absolutely no hostility, no threats coming out of Greenland or Denmark towards the United States. No treaties have been broken. There's no historical ownership.
Right.
There is
right.
nothing that justifies it. And the Americans, they don't even present a justification. They just say, we need Greenland, which is not a justification. It doesn't give you a right to something that you think you needed. But that's where we are.
Insanity. Okay, well, there was a lot of repetition from this guy, but, you know, pretty interesting. I mean, again, I don't know much details, so whatever I say, take it with the knowledge that I don't know much. I know nothing, just know. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. Like, hopefully nothing happens, because, yeah, this would be so stupid. But after what just happened with, you know, them taking prisoner the president of another country, I mean, it doesn't feel like anything. It does feel like it's even more possible than before, right? Because I think like before, like, you know, most people were like, this is a meme, like no way this happens. But now, I don't know. I don't think I don't think I feel like that anymore. Now it feels like more of a possibility, you know. I kind of feel like, I mean, maybe I'm going too far saying it like that, but like Trump as this shit is already like above the law, in a sense of like, literally I saw that like, so he did this operation to take the president of this other country, right? And then literally after that, whatever like authority was like, you know, condemning him for it, saying like, this isn't good and we didn't approve it and we're disapproving you doing anything like this again. But like, you already did it, you know what I mean? So it feels like he's already like well above the law than he should be. And he's already like at the point between this and the Epstein file and so many other things. He's already at the point where like he literally should be already like taken down from power because like he's broken so many of the rules. And yet, no, nothing is happening, you know? Yeah, again, unfortunately, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that in different countries, right? I literally know more US news than news of my own country at this point. It's kind of almost like unavoidable, I feel like. I mean, it's maybe because I check out Reddit every day, and that tends to be at the top news, right? But man, this is all so stupid.